Welcome everyone, this is Pine Leaf Noodles and you're listening to LOTRO
And we're
Players News,
live.
where we take a look at the
Wh-
latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Andane,
Hey, everybody.
Ethelros,
Hey.
Draculetta,
Greetings, everybody.
Sithrith,
Hello.
and Brexwolf.
Hello, Lotro.
And this week, our big story, if you want to call it a big story, is that we have scheduled server downtime 7 a.m. through 12 noon Eastern on Monday, December 15th for update 15.1. So if you're not listening to this live, the update is probably already up. And in this update, we have various tweaks to the Bjorning and to various quests within the Central Gondor area. We are hoping it'll include also the Fellowship version of Peligir. We will find that out. And most likely a version of the music system. Probably not much else other than that. Of course, other than the addition of the usual Yule Festival stuff so that we could have it ready when the Yule Festival hits. Anyone have any comments on this?
Not really. There's not that much exciting for sure in this update. There's a lot of unknowns. So it'll be interesting to see what actually gets released when they release the show notes Monday.
The show notes.
Our-
Show notes, patch notes, whatever. Our
One
show
thing I am
notes
excited about
will be out Monday.
on the Bullroar forums, on the Bullroar forums, or not the Bullroar forums, but just on the forums, somebody posted from Bullroar pictures from the Yule Festival that's coming up, and the cosmetic rewards are not the usual robe and tablecloth horse, which is really exciting because I know I've talked about this every time there's been a festival, like over the past year, it's always the same robe model and tablecloth horse is what we've been calling it, and with just different textured patterns on them. But now they're using one of the more recent robe kind of models, and they are also using a more detailed horse comparison model. So that's pretty exciting, and I think I will actually end up doing the festival this year based on those pictures from Bullroar.
Are you going to be tempted to forget the pets?
Nah, I don't really care about the pets.
Oh, you're not going to go after and have some little Grims following you?
No.
I thought you liked to collect pets.
Not in Lotro.
Not
Grims,
Lotro, okay.
Grims aren't furry.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if I could get a cat in this game, yeah, totally would. But otherwise, no.
All right. So that means only your lore master.
Yeah, just my Lord Master.
All right. Very well. That's it for that. So therefore, let's go into the great MMO face-off, round 2. And Draculetta, whom are we facing this time?
In round 2, Lotro was up against EverQuest, and the voting is now over. Lotro did win 60.1 to 39.9%. So it was a pretty solid victory towards Lotro. Round 3 should be up on probably Friday because it seems like MMORPG is putting the voting up usually on Wednesday, and they end it on a Friday. So I'll be sure to post who we face against next. There's some pretty stiff competition now, though, because looking at the other games that have won in this round 2, it's some really big titles. So big titles are going to start going up against big titles here.
So did this include EverQuest 2 as well, or?
Yes, EverQuest 2 was in the newbie category, though.
Okay, so that's good.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure Lotro is going to end up against Warcraft, though. I'm almost positive that's what's going to happen eventually.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to make it tough.
Yeah, because looking at the ones in the veterans category that's left, that won in round 2, my guess is Lotro is going to go up against Warcraft. DDO is probably going to go up against Eve, I'm thinking. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what happens. And supposedly they're picking by random how the games go against each other. So we'll see, though.
But you know how much the random number generator hates you, right?
Exactly. At least I'm not picking them. So
Drac,
there's
don't be
that.
on the internet that day.
Okay.
All right, then. Now, how's the store doing?
In the store this week, free sample of the week is a 100% XP boost. You do get one of those. Use coupon code BUMP4, BUMP4. That's the weirdest coupon code they've used yet, but okay. One per account.
That's interesting.
And I have seen on Twitter that some people are having a problem finding this item in the store. I haven't looked for it myself.
I saw some people in game complaining about not being able to find it as well.
Okay, yeah, I haven't. I should have, like, today when we were on doing adventures, I should have looked to try to find it, but
It's a very basic item.
it's just called a 100% XP boost, and if you put that in the store, it should find it, I would think, but I guess people on Twitter are saying it's not coming up that way, so.
That it's not showing up. They've seen it on one character, but not on another.
So yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
That's.
are they putting it? Are any of the ones they're trying it on at cap? Because you certainly won't get it if you're at cap.
No, in fact, I think the one I saw said that it was a very, very low level character, and maybe it was too low to get it. And I don't know if that's the case or not either. But
Oh, I doubt that.
just sounded strange.
So anyway, that is the free sample of the week. Like I said, I haven't tried it myself. Also in the store, 20% off expansions and expansion quest. That does include Helm's Deep, Rohan, Isengard, and Moria. 20% off skirmishes and instances. The Hall of Night and the Inn of the Forsaken, Attack at Dawn, Stand at Amon Sul, Thievery and Mischief, Defense of the Prancing Pony, Fort of Brunnen, and Survival Barrow Downs. Also 20% off in the store. Enhanced XP Supply, the Token of the Hornburg, and Mark Acquisition Boost. If you're listening live through the 14th, the Buried Treasure event is going on. And also through December 14th, the weekend special for December is a pretty good one this week. It's a 30% off coupon code. Use code December14. Once again, December14, and that does expire December 14th. Funny that. You can use that 2 times per account, and that will give you 30% off your entire cart. So if you haven't bought the Bee Warning yet, I would suggest this weekend would be the weekend to do it. That would be a good use of the 30% off, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Is I was wondering earlier today whether or not to get some milestone skills for my Bjorning, for my main Bjorning, and I say it would be nice if they went on sale in the near future. I didn't realize there was this 30% off coupon code this week, so I better go and get that. All right, so let's go into our site news then, and we'll begin with a poll. And Andang, what poll is this?
You're not going to pronounce it this week, Pineleaf? Okay. That's okay. This week's poll is... You just normally do it. This week's poll is, would you listen to a LOTRO player's role-playing podcast? And the reason that we're asking this is because this has kind of been something we've tossed around for some time now, before even Adventures came along, I want to say. And maybe after we get through all the group content adventures, we're thinking about doing a role-playing podcast. And 37% said yes, they want to see a role-playing podcast. 25% said no. And 23% said depends on if there's pie. Well, there will be pie, so that makes yes be over 50%. And only if Atheros gets to keep his clown parents. Maybe Atheros. Maybe.
Poor Atheros.
I like how the quarter of the people said no, absolutely not. Do not want to hear that.
Well, it's would you listen.
I
It's
was a
not
bit
if you'd
sad.
want to hear it. It's to be fair, but yeah.
There may
Um,
be some recoiling.
Yeah.
But I think that we will do this after Adventures. Now, if more group content is introduced, we will probably go back to Adventures for a couple weeks and do that, and then move back to the role-playing podcast. But I think that this is something we'll do, so be on the lookout in the sometime between March and June of 2015 for the start of this show, maybe.
All right, very well. Then let's talk about another special event, and that is the Tolkien Professor. Brax, what's this all about?
Yeah, very cool, actually. Corey Olson, better known as the Tolkien Professor from Washington University, or Washington College, I think,
Yep.
is very well known within the Tolkien scholar community and even the Tolkien fandom, and has very good podcasts talking through Tolkien lore. He's had one going for almost 3 years called Riddles in the Dark that talks about the Hobbit movies and what possibly is going to happen within those as far as what's in the texts and things like that. But at any rate, he's just very recently started getting a little bit more into how can he do things with LOTRO and incorporate that into some of his teachings. And so one of the things he announced on Monday was that he's actually going to have a Mythgard course on LOTRO and how it relates back to the Tolkien texts. And just to kind of clarify, because I think the first version of my story wasn't real clear. It wasn't inaccurate, but it wasn't clear. And I went back and kind of changed some of the wording later. The actual course itself may or may not be in game. He hasn't quite decided yet how he's going to do that. But leading up to the course, he's actually going to run through the game a couple different times to familiarize himself with all the different areas and the questing and the things that happens within LOTRO. So he basically broke it down into 3 phases. Phase 1 was he was going to go through and do it the first time just to see it. Phase 2 was he was going to go through a second time and really familiarize himself with it. And this was the phase he was asking for people within the Mythgard kinship to help kind of be bodyguards for him so he can actually focus on the stuff within the game aside from the combat. And then phase 3 was going to be the actual course. So the way he presented it was really cool because it's kind of a win-win. He's trying to draw some people from the Tolkien scholarly type world into LOTRO and introduce them to LOTRO. And he's also hoping to introduce some of the more scholarly aspects of what he's familiar with to some of the players within LOTRO. So kind of a cool idea and really looking forward to seeing what he can do.
All right. That reminds me, the former kin leader of the kinship I have on Winfola, he actually once did teach a course. This was before online courses were popular, so I believe they're all courses, who are actually at a physical classroom with him. And he taught a course and wove LOTRO into it, and he created a sub-kinship where he also worked with and brought them and familiarized them with the game and set up some puzzles and things like that within the game to challenge his students on there. At the end of the class, there was a special ceremony honoring all the students who completed the course during the time.
Cool.
All right, so let us head off then into LOTRO video highlights. 12 Days of Yule. Andang, what's this about?
Well, do you know the BBB, Pine Leaf?
The BBB?
Mm-hmm. I'll take that as a no. The Bards, Beards, and Longbeards. Band? No? Still no?
Okay, I think I heard about them a couple of times. I always forget the acronym. The first rule is that if there's anything I'm going to mess up on, it's an acronym. I always forget them.
Okay, Pine Leaf, we'll remember that. Anyway,
You'll remember that.
So that was a fail. Anyway.
Especially ones that don't make sense. BB Longbeards? Okay.
Anyway, the BBB made the most insane video last year that had the Yule theme, and that's really the only way to describe this video. You have to see it to understand what I'm talking about. But what's also cool is they do a lot of Christmas songs and things like that and kind of changed some of it for LOTRO to fit in better for the Yule Festival as well. So it's pretty interesting. I recommend people check it out if you're in the mood for some holiday themed videos.
All right, and then let's head into Lotro Players Adventures, episode 41, and where we talk about Sauron, an equal opportunity employer.
Yes, finally, if we had, I don't want to say fun because I'm not sure if skirmishes are still fun for everybody. But we did more skirmishes and got into leveling and stuff like that, and had our normal comedic banter throughout. So another great episode of LOTRO Players Adventures.
Very well. And we also have a new series being brought up by Lily Kate, who is talking about doing the opposite of Sauron. Sauron, who did nothing but create strife. Lily Kate seeks to bring out a character to go through as far as she can through Lotro as a complete pacifist. See how far she can level as a pacifist. How far do you think she's going to be able to get? Being able
Well,
to not kill any mobs, not bear any weapon, and such things as that.
Well, in theory, you could get all the way to 100 if you craft it only.
Yeah, lots of crafting.
yes, but you have to keep in mind that around crafting facilities, there's some creatures there, and some of them could be enough to cause her to have to go into combat.
I don't
And
know
if
what
she
crafting
doesn't want to
facilities you're going
die, then she might actually have to fight them to survive. And so that's really the only way that she might
If she
not
sticks
make
to
this.
main
What are you
cities,
talking
though.
about?
Yeah, like what crafting facilities do you go to?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the crafting nodes tend to have mobs around them.
Oh, I think I
Yep,
see
that's
you're
what I
saying.
was referring to, but yeah.
Well, I don't think that she's. Do you remember which craft she decided to take?
Well, if she
Let's
does
see.
farming, it'll be pretty easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Because I
If
have
you-
a feeling, yeah, it's going into a
And technically,
craft.
she could always just buy materials from other players.
She is using the auction house heavily, according to her plans on the matter. And in fact, that's one of the reasons she's choosing a very busy server on the assumption that there will be a more active auction house there.
Makes sense.
She did say in the article, crafting is a must, but I don't want to farm my way to level 100.
Right, so she's a tinker.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting to get up there as the tinker. Um, I think that she might have somebody around her to quote unquote save her a lot. We'll find out, but
Well, she says in there that she won't intentionally do that, though.
that's true. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I love that in Lotro they allow this to be a viable way. I've heard a few people that have gotten up just crafting up to 100, so it'll be interesting to see where this article goes.
Of course, there used to be a time where you couldn't level by crafting.
Yep.
True.
All right, then let's head then into the family line part 22, which continues with a forced to sinister. All right, Sithrith, do you know anything about this?
I've fallen behind on reading these. My bad. But the screenshots look pretty good, as always.
Yeah, there's there's one shot in here that's really creepy.
Yeah.
I don't remember that shot. I'm trying to think, what is that creepy looking in Lotro?
I think it's one of those, like, Kuthrall ghosty things.
Oh, okay, yeah, that could be one of those Kuthrall, yes. So he has a way of bringing anything and managing to weave it into a story
Mm-hmm.
and getting new shots of things that we'd never thought of before. Very well. Let's go into Rax's pick of the week. And what is your pick this week?
Well, Pineleaf, I'll tell you. My pick this week goes back once again to the Department of Strategery. I know we did them last week, but they came out with such a good guide this week. I wanted to highlight it, and it's a guide for the new Retaking Peligir Epic Battle, and it breaks the Epic Battle down into all 3 stages and has like a nice little overlay map for each stage, pointing out where all of the important parts are within the stage on the map. So you can actually kind of have an idea of where you need to go for the certain phases of the epic battle. And just thought he's doing some really good guides over there. And I wanted to point that out again because we don't have quite as many of those sites doing these anymore. And it's really nice to see. And by the way, just to kind of put this out there, I will take submissions for pick of the week. If you want to tweet me any articles that you come across during the week, or send me an email at braxwolf@gmail.com, I will look over that and see if it would be appropriate for the pick of the week for LPN. There's a lot of good stuff out there. I hate to think that I might be missing stuff, but I can't obviously keep my eye on everything through the course of the week. So go ahead and let me know. But once again, Department of Strategery doing great work out there. It's great to see some LOTRO guides out there again.
All right, thank you very much. So let's go into news beyond LOTRO. And we have now available a limited edition of Smog the Golden. Draculetta, how can you get your hands on one of these things?
Well, you can't because they're sold out now.
What?
It was a limited edition to 200 pieces, and it sold out within 5 minutes of it going online, actually.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Not
Which-
surprised based on how it looks, though.
Yeah, and plus it's from Games Workshop, and if you know anything about Games Workshop, all their stuff sells out like mad. But it was actually created for their game, the Hobbit Strategy Battle game, which is a miniatures game. If you're not familiar with it, they have a bunch of Hobbit and LOTRO themed miniatures, but they decided to make this one. This is a 42-piece set. It's just insane. The thing is huge too. It's let's see. The base is 0.2 inches and it's 5.4 inches wide. So if you can imagine how big, it's a pretty decent sized thing. But if you look at the article and see the picture, it's painstakingly put together. They said they might release more of them after the first of the year, so we'll see. But I also linked a little video of it too, so you could actually see it. But it's a pretty sweet little thing, and I could actually see this working in any miniature game. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to use it for the Hobbit Battle Strategy game. I could actually see using this in D&D, even if you're using miniatures in your D&D game. You could use this as a red dragon as well too.
I could just see a DM plopping this down and his players going, ooh, ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
What scale is it in?
You know, they didn't say. I'm just trying to read. All it says is the wingspan is 8.4 inches.
8.4 inches,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, but go to the article, watch the video, and look at it, and just see how cool this thing is. And if they do decide to release some more, I will report on it. But they weren't sure. Right now, they're just calling it a limited edition run of 200. But we'll see if they release more.
All right, very well. Then let's go into Eogro's latest story, The Origin of Evil, Part 3, where we continue with the story of Melkor as he wreaks havoc all throughout Middle-earth. And of course, this is the final bit for Melkor, but of course, you know, he is always going to have another story with various things about the lore in Middle Earth. How many series has he done so far on the lore?
Quite a few. I mean, he's been going pretty strong, and I can't wait to see which one he does next. Every single one has been fantastic. So,
Right, because we've had Saruman, we've had Melkor, Schmeagol.
Yeah, Yogurt does a nice job. Is this guy fighting
Yeah.
Melkor with a lightsaber? Kind of looks like it.
it's a pretty awesome image. It is a pretty awesome
Oh,
image.
maybe it's Glamdring.
Yeah, it might be.
Oh yeah.
I mean, is this what Glamdring? I presume was made somewhere around that time period.
Yeah.
Of course you'd
think
know
so.
that.
Well, it actually
It is
was
a first
made.
stage weapon.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a first stage weapon.
Gandalf wouldn't settle for anything less.
Finally,
True,
you could give
yeah.
your own course in Lotro.
All right, let's let's head off into the question of the week. And Sithrit, do you have the question for us?
Yes. So the question, or questions, I suppose, for this week are about the mobs in Lotro. There's quite a few mobs in Lotro that Turbine have kind of dreamed up. Some things like bog lurkers always stand out to me, stuff like that. So, how do you feel about the diversity of mobs in Lotro, Pineleaf?
About the diversity.
Yeah, so like the how do you feel about the variety of mobs? Is there a good
So,
variety or
like in a given area, do you feel like that there's a good diversity, or do you feel like that you're kind of just killing the same stuff over and over again, type
Well,
of
when you're
thing?
in a small area, it's inevitably going to feel like a
Hmm.
like the
Right,
same
right.
one, especially when you get into areas that are humanoid populations because it's lots of orcs, uruks, goblins, and stuff like this. But overall, I would say there's a pretty good diversity. We've run into quite a number of things. Some of them that seem a bit weird, such as bog lurkers.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them, I think, will be consistent with the lore, and that's the important matter on it, I guess.
Hmm.
So I think there's a pretty decent set of diversity on there, and I mean, what else are you going to come up with that's going to be different?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that that's the main thing is that they're restricted by the lore, and they have added in things like Nika Breakers and stuff like that.
Well, Nego Breakers
No.
actually
Nika Breakers are in the lore.
Yeah, I know.
are in the lore. In fact, the name comes from Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah, but I
That's right.
believe that they said in one of their design things that the actual creature was never described how it looked or something like
It
that.
just said it was an
And a
evil-looking
bug.
It
cricket.
just said it was an evil-looking bug or something. So
I mean, that's
there's
more lore justification than some of the other stuff, like bog lurkers or
Morville.
cave claws.
Yep.
Yeah, or more Marivale, yeah.
Yep, but I think that with everything that they've added in, it has felt appropriate for the most part for the area it's in. There's not very many places where something just feels completely out of place. Um, and they do a good job of creating all of the Tolkien mobs as well that are from the lore. So I think that in general they do a great job of making it be fairly diverse. And if an area is not diverse enough, they usually try to create stuff to make it be that way. Compared to other MMOs, though, I don't know if it's diverse enough. Some of them go to like the extreme and like make all sorts of kind of crazy enemies, but I don't know. Compared to other MMOs, I'm not sure if the diversity's enough in Lotro. What do you
Yeah,
guys
I
think?
think it would have been a bit much to have things like raptors and stuff like that in there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of leads me to my next question. Like, there is a problem with there could be a problem with diversity in Lotro, but part of it is because they're bound by the restrictions of the lore. So for the mobs that they have created, like Marivale and Cave Claws and Bog Lurkers and Gauntlet Lords and all that, do you feel that those are appropriate enough for the lore, or do you think that they kind of bend the lore a little too much in some mobs cases. Brax.
Well, I don't know. I guess you're asking the person who's not all as concerned about the lore as maybe a lot of other people are. I mean, I am concerned, but at the same time, I would rather it be a fun game first. And so I enjoy the diversity of the mobs. The only thing that really bothers me about the mobs is that when they use the same, I don't know, would they use the same mob texture, but they just rename it
Oh,
to
yeah.
something different? And you're like,
Yeah.
no, that's a cave claw. Why did you call it something different here? You know, and make it slightly
Mhm.
bigger or whatever. I just call it the same thing because that's what I'm going to refer to it as anyway. But as far as lore appropriateness, I think they do a pretty good job, really. I mean, they have a lot of different kinds of orcs and goblins, obviously. In fact, you know, when I first started playing the game, it took me a while to get to the orcs and goblins because a lot of the mobs in the starter area there in Archit are actually men. And I kept thinking, when are we going to get to the orcs? You know, this is Tolkien. But I think that they do a pretty good job of following the story, even if you're not like I wasn't thinking about it in terms of the story of the Fellowship when I was doing it as much. But then when I went back and thought about it, I thought, well, yeah, I mean, this is what was happening in that period of time was that ruffians were starting to come in around Bree, and that's where they came up with the idea for the mobs there. So I think they do a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm. Pineleaf, I know you know a lot more about the lore than, say, all the rest of us.
Braxwolf.
Now,
So what are your
some of
thoughts
the
on the mobs?
all right, so we have some mobs like the. Let's look at the Marivals, since that's the one that a lot of people have come up with. They feel like
Yeah,
that
that seems the
they're,
most obvious one.
yeah, seems pretty certain that they're based on the Roman myth of harpies. Now, therefore, it means it does come from actual Earth myth, but of course, it comes from Mediterranean myth rather than from Nordic myth, which is, of course, most of stuff from Tolkien gets from Nordic. I don't know. Is there anything like harpies in Nordic myth? Anyone know?
I don't
You're
think so,
talking to
finally.
the wrong crowd, finally.
I don't think so, not that I can think of.
Yeah,
But I
can't
don't
think
know
of
it
any.
that well.
Right. And then, of course, you at first you run into your undead, they're barrow wights because they're described in Tolkien. And later on, when you get down to Rohan, you start to run into Druagar instead because it's a Nordic brand. So they try to bring in things that are similar to the areas where you live. So therefore, when you're in Rohan, you tend to get Nordic type mobs. When you're it looks like some of the things you found within the Dunland were based on, I presume, Welsh mythology. I guess Ethros will know a lot more about this than I would.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the
Sorry.
You just stumbled into the room.
yeah. But
Wondering
anyway,
if
they do a good job, I
how
think, in their
Welsh things
selection.
are.
And that they don't bring in, well, okay, except for the bog lurkers, they
Mm.
don't seem to have a habit of bringing in random stuff. It seems to something that has something from the folklore of the real world, which is pretty much what Tolkien did in a lot of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bog lurkers were sort of meant to be pets of the Ents. I gather that's the kind of thing they were going for.
Yeah,
with
they
them.
were guardians
Yeah.
originally.
Mhm.
In fact,
Yeah.
to a lore master, they are still guardians.
Mm-hmm.
And also pets. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jack.
Well, I'm sure everybody's waiting for me to talk about the Moraville. I'm sure they are.
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
There are bases for this in the lore. It's just not technically like Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Way back, there's a lot of mentions of like vampire and vampire type creatures and bat like creatures in the Silmarillion, of course.
Mhm.
Turbine technically can't use that, but they can kind of and not call it that, basically.
Right. Vampires are a common enough thing that it's
Right,
not.
right, exactly. So, the Morrible, there are bases in the lore for them.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And actually, the Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit, actually, there was a lot of bats that came and basically finished off all the fallen warriors and stuff in a vampire-like fashion. So,
Freaky.
yeah, so the Morrible is lore-ish appropriate.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, bats certainly are. And I'm wondering though, concerning in the Battle of Fire, I sometimes wonder when I count, say, what are the five armies? I'm not always sure because I sometimes count six. I'm wondering,
Yep.
okay, which one of these six is not one of the five armies?
And it's left up to ambiguity. Even the Tolkien professor, Corey Olsen, says doesn't technically know which are the five armies because
Oh,
it's
he doesn't know either.
yeah,
Okay.
and he's studied it a ton. So, um, it's definitely up to being unknown. And so, one of his main questions is if in the new movies, if they'll specify like which are the five armies. Since it's the battle of the five armies, they changed the title to add in the extra the, so it sounds like it's gonna be more definite. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I know that in the first Hobbit movie, now I don't mean the first one of Peter Jackson's, I mean the animated one done back in the 70s. In that one, the eagle, they definitely they had the opinion that the eagles were one of the armies because Bilbo at the end when he sees the eagles coming, what now? Five armies when the eagles come in?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So for them, it was what? Men, elves, dwarves, eagles versus goblins.
Versus
Well,
goblins and everything else.
goblins. Yeah, but the goblins also had the wargs and the
Yep.
bats with them, so that's
And the bats.
Mm. Versus evil.
It's weird because the way I always saw it, it was men, elves, dwarves versus goblins and wargs.
Yeah, that's what I always think of it as.
But even if you think that, there's still the eagles and the bats that are in numbers enough to be possibly an army. So.
Oh, but they're the Air Force.
Exactly, so they're not armies.
There you go. Finally, just sold it.
Battle of the Armed Services.
So speaking of all the lore,
Battle of the Five Armed Services.
do you think that there are any spots of unused potential in the books that Turbine could use to make more enemy types, or do you think they've kind of hit their limit of what to add in?
The only thing that might be underused is dragons, but that's because during this time period they're not prevalent, and they even, did the whole Dracok thing, so I don't know. They certainly have overused Balrogs, though, I would say, but
Oh, certainly. And whites, I feel like that's another one
Yeah.
they've overused quite a bit.
yeah.
Yeah, we've
Oh.
seen enough of those.
Barnabas has a good one. Black Numenorians.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
They've
Yeah.
used them a couple of times.
In Volume 1, mainly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we're starting to see more of that kind of stuff.
When I
now.
see the heirs of Castamere, I feel like a couple of them were
Yeah.
Black
Definitely.
Númenóreans.
Yeah, there's a guy that was in league with them that was, yeah.
Yeah.
The way I saw it, they were just men of Umbar, but they pretended to be more than that.
Yeah.
So they were pretty much pretending to be Black Numenorians. I don't think they actually were, like, by bloodline then.
Well, they were pretending to be of the bloodline of Castamere when they weren't really early. They admit that at the end of the epic.
What?
Spoiler alert.
I'm just not sure if they
Yeah,
actually
you
were
can't give it
Black
after.
Numenorians rather than just normal men.
Yeah.
So let's just real quick, before we end this question of the week, go around and say, are we happy with the diversity of mobs in LOTRO? Yes or no? And let's start with Tharos.
I wish they could come up with new enemy mob models and animations, because I think when you look at a lot of the kind of quote-unquote new mobs they've put in, they use pretty much the same animations, the same models, and a lot of the same attacks. Like if you, what are they called? Those crocodile things that you have in Dunland.
Vanks.
Yes, them. They use the same animations as worms.
Mm-hmm.
They do the same tail whip thing, the same all the other attacks too. They just look different.
I feel like
If they
orcs
have
too usually fall into one of 3 or 4 models
fat, tall
with just
orc,
different.
or
Yeah,
Yeah.
big fat orc,
Yeah.
skinny orc, slightly shorter orc, and urkai are basically the
Yeah.
models.
yeah, I think that sort of thing they could improve on is just the mechanics wise. I don't think in terms of lore there's really so much they can really do, other than just being creative like they have with other kind of out there mobs.
All right. Does everyone
Oh,
else?
I just remembered something. Nameless. Those are kind of out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're
forgot about
definitely
them.
out there.
They pretty much had free reign to go there, buying
Yeah.
slate and everything.
I like the ones that explode in Dunland. Was it Dunland or was it Rohan? It
The
might have
It was
been
white?
East Rohan, the white.
East Rohan.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, those,
the whites explode.
those are the whites and the
Or
Druagar.
Draga, as they
Yes.
call them.
Dragar.
Yes.
Oh, the Dragar.
Definitely not Skyrim.
Yes. Those are my favorite mobs. I wish they'd use that a little bit
I
more.
like those too. They get bigger and bigger as you fight them, and then they just explode at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was different.
All right. Does anybody else disagree that there aren't enough, or are we all on the
it's
same
that
page?
okay, there seems to be enough varieties but the sub varieties seem to be where they're lacking
Mhm.
in that
Yep.
there isn't enough diversity in how they act. Unfortunately, probably there's only so much AI I guess they want to program into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, anything else on this?
I think we're good.
All right, then let's head into donations. This week we did not receive any Patreon mentions, but we would love to have your support. If you wish to help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donation page, where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even guest spots on either LOTRO Players News or Adventures. As for feedback, we have no iTunes reviews this week, and alas, no featured comments, but we do have an email. And we have an email from Mary Rose, who sent in an origin story. Hello, LPN. There is an utterly ridiculous origin story based loosely on The Unexpected Party. It's been percolating since Thanksgiving, but is now in time for Christmas. Please feel free to ad-lib or even revise to your character's heart's content. Love the podcast, Mary Rose. And we have this in quite a number of things here. Now, how are we going to handle this? Obviously, our own roles we could say without trouble. We also have Lizzie Rose here and Lily Kate.
And mystery.
Pineleaf, you can be Lizzie Rose.
All of them.
Yeah.
Lizzie Rose.
I vote for that.
All right. And
I could be Lily Kate.
all right, you could be Lily Kate.
And at that most, you can be Mystery.
All right, let's have this go as a try.
We need a narrator too.
Yes. Etheros awakens in a dark place. He wonders where he is and how he got there. It looked like a cave, but it wasn't drafty, dank, or smelly at all. It reminded him of his pantry, only with the lights turned out. He sat up and started to feel his way around when he heard singing. La 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 la, Lily Kate is gonna crash. La Lily Kate is gonna crash.
Wow. Wow.
Do we need to read the rest of it?
Nope, we're done. Good night. Thanks, folks.
Thanks for watching. Oh my god. I guess Lilliput.
Maybe we
Lily-
should have practiced
Sithrath,
this.
it's your turn to read.
I know, but I can't. Lily Kate then says, "Oof, yes, Mummy did crash, but I can't see what I crashed into."
Well, it wasn't me.
Oh, hello, Ethel Rose. Can you tell me where we are? I was summoned here, and Lizzie Rose followed me.
I'm not sure myself. I awakened a little while ago, but I do not remember how I got here.
Fine.
Rushing sound is heard when a muffled voice says, "Ooh, drat that cloak!"
That sounds like Draculetta. Is that you, Drac?
Yes, it is me. Now, if I can only find this fastening to this cloak. Ripping sound. Dracula becomes visible and tosses the shredded cloak to the corner. Meh. I'll make another one later.
Meh.
Thalos.
Wait, what?
Ethel
You're
Rose,
next.
Oh, right.
it's your turn.
How come we couldn't see you, Drac? You gave us a scare.
I discovered how to make an invisible cloak, but this one got all tangled up and nearly tripped me. I will make a smaller version next time. No need to break my neck with such dramatic flair again.
So why are we here?
I'm hungry. Do you have anything to eat?
Pineleaf, Brannick, Andig, and I discussed how nice it would be if we all got together to enjoy a stress-free, die-free, celebratory get-together. Pineleaf suggested a potluck at his house, which is where you all are. So I helped summon the gang. But the lights seem to have all gone out.
Ethel Rose, your mystery.
Okay. I can't do an Australian.
Just do a little falsetto. That should be good.
I don't know what that is.
A high-pitched
Your
voice.
voice is high pitched.
I can't do a high-pitched voice. It really hurts my throat.
Okay.
Uh,
In walks mystery.
Hi, everyone. I found Braxwolf just like you asked me to. He's bringing extra tables, chairs, and eating utensils. He'll be here shortly.
Like she's in the room. That was amazing.
Expert.
A potluck. How fortunate! I just came from fishing in Kellendim. I can cook them over a chimney fire.
Why is it so dark in here? Don't know. In fairness, it's kind of awkward to reply to myself.
That was awesome.
But yeah, we just live in a party's place. Oh, hi, myself. Wait, I can fix this. Beep boop. There.
Oh, wow.
There. Sparkle, sparkle will keep the room illuminated. That's a dumb name. And I don't know why you named it that, but on the other hand, I don't want to know.
Enter Andang and Braxwolf carrying a table and followed closely by Brannick, who, with a good supply of old Withy Windle.
Brandon, could you place that brew over in the corner there first? Good. Andang, if you could bring the rest of the benches from outside, I think everything is ready. Where's Pineleaf, by the way?
Welcome down here, right beside you. Sorry, everyone, for being late.
What held you up?
Oh, we don't have.
Kaylee Starsign found some stolen property. She is scouting out the culprits now and cannot continue to carry the delicate consumables. She gave them to me with the condition a donation would be given to the Cook's Guild as compensation.
Is that?
Yes, it's pie.
Enter myself. Hi, everyone. I brought honey cakes. Where should I put them?
On the second table to your right next to the pies. Something is missing. Does anyone want to give a blessing before we eat? Me,
Oh gosh, go ahead.
Less the biscuits. Praise the hen. Throw back your ears and shovel it in.
Okay. What does throw back your ears mean?
It means if you have big ears, push them back.
After everyone loads a plate of food and sits at a large table, Pinely asks, Andang, is there any recent news to hear?
No, Pineleaf, there's no news at all. But I did enjoy watching your Beorning series episode, where you demonstrated Pineclaw can walk faster than Sarah Oakart.
Yes, Sarah is tedious. Hard not to get bored in an instance. In that instance, Braxwolf, I hear that you have been busy lately.
Yes, that is correct. Alongside the family furniture and fittings business, we have branched into the rental business. Braxwolf is really enterprising in this story.
And monotone.
So now we provide tables, chairs, benches, and the like for Roots. It's booming business. We've opened up office locations in Thorns Hall, Kellendon, Nickel Delving, and Bree. Just look for the Braxwood logo.
I'm glad I said that.
Take it business has been good?
Too good. If you know anyone who needs work, send them my way. We're booked solid for the next 6 months and need all the hands we can get.
Etheros, anything exciting happened this week?
Nothing exciting. Pet sitting in front of my neighbor. I'm thinking it's not an advantage being a lawmaster since people think you always care about stuff. And creatures especially.
I take it the pet is a challenge?
It's iconic of the feline variety.
And for some reason, I'm going to growl.
And you say it. I'm going to growl.
Moving right along. So, Sithred, have you done any new cosmetic outfits recently?
No, but I am liking the new hat Lily-Kate is wearing. Where did you find it, Lily-Kate?
It's a battered, flappy hat. What is it like?
And then I turn into a bear. And I go, roar! Wait, did you... What? Wait, what did you just do, Mystery? I'm a steel blue bear! For some reason.
Whoa.
Oh, I forgot I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah, you are.
Well, myself seems more depressed than usual, so I activated a hope token. That must have turned you blue.
You don't need hope tokens in a safe place such as this. What'd you waste one?
Taros.
Wait, what? Oh, I lost my place. What goblin? Really nice guy dressed up as Father Christmas.
no.
keeps staying-
No, you
no,
went too far down, Taros.
Wait,
Up
what?
a little bit.
Oh, my bad. Thank you for that. I used one because I have 233 of them, and they have taken up space in my bags. RNG keeps giving to me every day for the past month.
I knew RNG hated me. I thought it was only because he is a naughty goblin.
Now you say what goblin.
Got them all over the place again. Expert. What goblin? Again. Really nice guy dressed up as Father Christmas keeps stalking me. When I see him again, I'll ask for loot boxes instead. I'll give them to you.
What good will that do? RNG hates me.
But he likes me, so he'll give me something good, which I can forward to you. Like a skeleton horse.
And I thought
That was the
Pineleaf
red
was
variety.
excellent at logic.
Lily-Kate, I heard that you went on an adventure this week.
Yes. Yes. I just came from Erluin posting a report. Oh, come on, cat. On all the creatures near Kellendim.
Sorry, I thought you were on a different adventure. Something to do with a mountain.
Well, yes. It didn't turn out the way I thought it would. I'm trying to differentiate. What happened? I wanted to be a Bjorning. Pineleaf confirmed it could happen and give me instructions. So what happened? Ah, this is terrible. This is embarrassing. I did turn into a bear, only it was a teddy bear. So to console myself, I went shopping in Lalia's market. I found a hat that reminded me of Paddington the bear. That is the hat I'm now wearing. But I have a question for you, Draculetta. How did you get an invisible cloak?
Well, Pineleaf and I were doing spicy battles and came across a giant toad which had this chemical substance that made things blend into the landscape. I collected that substance and I took it home for experimentation. This cloak was the result. I'm still working on it to make my weapons invisible.
What are spicy battles? Don't you mean epic battles? Or do you mean mean skirmishes?
No, no, not skirmishes. Although we did do skirmish tortillas, the spicy battles complement the skirmish tortillas, but they are kind of like a cross between the skirmishes and battles. There is an epicness to the fight, but there is an ending to them, and they only have giant creatures in them, no orcs. Brigands are the like.
Is that true, Pineleaf? That blows my mind.
Oh, yes, it is true. How do you think we had enough food for all of us today?
Okay.
At this point, Ethro suspects that it was all a dream. He concentrates hard on his surroundings to find he really is in a party back home
In his pantry
in his
back
pantry
home.
back home in real life. He is flat on his back, staring up at glowing eyes attached to a Cheshire grin.
Useless cat.
He said. The end.
Brilliant.
So that happened.
Wow.
Maybe a dry run would have been. Kind of,
Yeah.
Dry ride would have been very useful. yes.
Practice probably would have been good on that.
Pineleaf, I think
We
you
are
get to
not
do
actors.
Lizzie Rose from now on.
Finally, I
Honestly.
think you should do a whole episode of LOTRO Players News as Lizzie Rose.
Good grief.
I think I pretty much did miss as well as I could have. Practice won't help.
it was
Just
pretty
nailed
good.
it the first time.
It was pretty good.
It's like I wasn't even there.
That is like mystery.
Anyway.
You can contact us by emailing us at podcast@lotroplayers.com. Perhaps you would want to also send us an origin story, and if it's going to be as complex as that one, please warn us in advance. You can also Twitter us at the Players Alliance at Players Ally, Lotro Players at Lotro Players, Andang at PVMP_Andang, Braxwolf at Braxwolf, Sithrith at Sithrith, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, Etheros at Etheros, Lily Kate at Lily Kate Buggins, Mystery at Mystery XOX, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. You could join us every week for our Player Alliance live shows. On Mondays at 8:30 p.m. server time, we have DDO Players News. On Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. server time, we have Guild Wars Players News. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. server time, we have LOTRO Players News. And by server time, I mean LOTRO server time, which is United States Eastern Time. You could join us for our live shows at lotroplayers.com/live. And you can also join us on Langeville for LOTRO Players Adventures every Saturday at 5 p.m. server time. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.